What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Real People in Real Estate, where we talk about the real shit, not about real estate. I'm one of your hosts, Brooke Jones, aka the Millennial Agent.
What's up, guys? I'm your girls, Tyra Nicole.
And I am Nicole Pay, and today we have a huge honor and pleasure of having Mr. Erik Wright, owner of Social House Group or Social House?
Either one works.
Social House Group. We're going to go with that because I like that. Welcome to the RPR podcast. We're so happy to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Awesome. So we're going to start out, and I just have like a question because I really want to know, who is Erik Wright outside of real estate?
Yeah, I'm still kind of figuring that out myself. Real estate and work is probably 95% of my life. However, outside of that, I do have two younger brothers and
Nice.
My parents as well. And my dad and I actually recently started a local news company together that we've been running since October 2022. But
Okay.
outside of real estate and work and family stuff, I'd say music is the biggest passion of mine. I'm not musically talented.
I was just
in
going
any
to
way,
say,
shape,
like,
or
do you
form.
play an instrument?
No,
or?
I think I have a good ear for music, and
Okay.
I'm just very passionate about it. I love music. My little brother makes music, so I kind of help him with that a little bit. But I try to go to as many concerts as I can and just listen to music endlessly. But
It's just you three boys.
Yeah.
Your mom's-
Yeah, my poor mom. Yep.
Three boys. And you had two younger brothers.
Yep.
Oh,
So what kind of music are you into?
Got everything. I think if I sent you my playlist, you'd probably describe it as like sad.
Oh, really?
But I'm not a sad person. I just I've always been somebody that's been very closed off, like emotionally. So I like music that allows me to like feel certain things, and I
Okay.
can just kind of keep it to myself.
So you can relate through like your emotions through music. Like,
Yeah,
that's
not
where you
even-
use, that's your outlet.
Yeah, not even necessarily relate to it per se, but like more so just like I can feel that emotion that they're singing about, and that like that's like a release for me,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Oh,
But-
Yeah, that
absolutely.
makes sense.
So yeah, I have been learning how to like write music and stuff. Not like write like chords and whatnot, but write songs and things like that. So I try to collaborate with my 22-year-old brother. A
So
little
he's
bit
in
more.
music.
He is.
And what
yeah.
does he do?
He sings and like kind of raps, I guess you could say, but like it's more like the Kid Leroy style, like rap music. But he's actually really talented. I've been trying to encourage him to do a lot more with it, and he's graduating from Central Michigan this year, so I've been trying to encourage him a little bit more. I show all my friends, everybody I'm around, they all love it. I send them the
That's
screenshots.
great big
and,
brother status right there.
Yeah, so trying to get him to be a little bit more confident and start putting some more stuff out.
Okay. So have he done like a album or
Mixtape?
anything?
Do you got a mixtape?
Nothing.
So
Got some
mixtape.
tracks?
Yeah, Tyra and Rob have like mixtapes that they used to hand out in high school. So
Oh,
it's like
really?
an ongoing joke that we
Yeah.
want these mixtapes
I
to
would
come
love to,
back.
I would love to hear those.
So
I would
Tyra,
too
we
at
always
this point.
you said I would too. We asked the
I wish
public,
I could
like,
find them.
someone from Romulus has to have a mixtape.
I can't believe no one.
No
has
one came forward and said that they had one
So
yet.
does your brother like put music out on TikTok at all or social
Nothing.
media like you?
Nothing.
I'm probably the only one that hears it.
Really?
Wow.
So yeah, I'll show y'all a couple.
So
after
does
we're
he
off
actually
this,
go
but
to the studio and record and everything?
does it
or-
all in his dorm room. So I bought him. I bought him like a Bluebird mic, and I bought him, the software to produce and everything. And he started out just doing it with GarageBand on his computer and using some like shitty little mic that he got for like $30 from a friend or whatever. But yeah, he's really talented. So I'm not one.
And
to-
he's not put anything out yet.
Nothing. Just there's a couple private songs on SoundCloud that I have on my phone that I can play, but like nobody else can see them.
Okay.
So,
Oh,
but
So
yeah.
would you consider yourself like a producer?
No, God no.
Oh.
No.
Taking on a
I-
manager.
Do you want to become his manager? Are you like in manager
Not,
mode?
not really.
No, just supportive.
Yeah,
Just
like,
supportive brother.
Yeah, I want to help him in any way I can, but like my dad already technically kind of works for me.
Nice.
In a way, like we started a business together. So like I don't like having too many family members. Like I try not to work have my
no
friends
nepotism?
work for me. Like nothing. Like it's just a lot of stress and
Yeah.
pressure. So I like
Yeah.
supporting people in any way I can and like putting them out there and getting their name known and whatever that may be, whether it's my family or friends or whatever. But
That's cool.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you wanted me to manage him, I would. But, it's a matter of him actually first like taking.
So you know
his
he
steps,
might be
so.
watching this, so
Oh, I know.
he just heard
I'm-
you say that. So
I'm sure he will. He knows. I talk to him. He's probably so annoyed how much I talk to him about it and try to push him to do it because nobody wants to go get a 9 to 5.
So have you jumped on a track with him?
No,
Yeah.
no. You're not gonna hear
Is that
me.
the plan?
You're not gonna hear me on
Okay.
the track.
Okay.
No, my name actually, ironically, it's the same name as like Erik Wright from NWA. And
Oh.
so-
Oh gosh, I never even put that together.
So-
Did you?
I don't know who
You
that
guys
is.
never did? Look at it. You guys never did. I
NWA?
never even put that together.
I can't imagine
doesn't
that
know
Laura.
who NWA
Oh, you don't know
is.
who NWA is?
Oh
No.
Oh.
well,
I watched the movie.
Well,
a good
yeah.
a good ease into it. Watch Straight Outta Compton, the movie.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
like
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
It's a good like intro.
That
but,
was
like,
the group.
I
they-
never even
People
put that.
in NWA like Ice Cube.
Ice Cube,
Yeah.
like that.
Dr. Dre.
Dr. Dre
Yeah.
were all a part, yeah.
Yeah,
But I
okay.
never put Erik Wright. I never even put that. I'm
Yeah,
surprised they didn't.
Yeah, they used to call me Easy back when I used to play basketball growing up because
Yeah.
of that. But I can promise
Easy.
you, like,
I said Ice.
Laura Wright, my mom, that was not in the cards when she named me. She didn't listen to their music.
She didn't listen to their music?
She goes to church twice a week. Like, so, but yeah. So no, I've been trying to get Ben to pick it up a little bit and start doing. He's graduating now, so I think as soon as he steps foot into a cubicle,
What does he do? Like, what is he graduating
he
from?
just got a marketing degree.
Oh, so that's
So-
even perfect.
Which is in other words, what's the easiest thing I can go into and get a degree?
Hey, that's when I got my degree. Hold on.
That's what I got. That's what I got my degree in too. But mind you, like most of the people that were teaching us marketing were 50 and 60
Right.
year olds that
Yeah.
didn't
for
grow up with an
sure.
iPhone. So it was kind of give or take. It's
Yeah,
like
this
you'll
world's
learn
so
a little
different.
bit, but
I wonder how it is now.
They actually have like
Do- I was-
social media
do they?
entrepreneur courses at Wayne State. I know. Where did you go to college at?
I started at Saginaw Valley State University. Yeah, I graduated from Madonna. There you go.
Oh, how do you know that?
Because I graduated from Madonna. and
My
I
friend
just-
did too.
Yeah, I did. Mine was business administration, but I happened to look like when I was looking to see
Oh.
like what your owner of Social
Oh,
House.
yeah.
I saw Madonna and I was like, yes.
Yeah, mine was baseball with a minor in school.
Oh,
so.
nice.
Okay.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Oh, baseball.
Yeah, my son plays baseball, so
Oh, okay.
I don't know if he's going to Madonna. I don't think it's Madonna, but
Madonna was a great
I don't know if
baseball school.
It's a great baseball school. I
It's a
don't
great
want
school
to
in
pay
general.
for
Nothing
it
bad to say about Madonna.
because I have a lot of student loans for Madonna, so
Yeah, it's expensive.
it's very
Yeah, it's like
expensive
a
to
private
go. It's a
school.
private school, so I have a ton of student loans because then I started my master's program there, and thought I was like, you know what, I don't want to do master's here. I'm going to go to Baker. Baker is just as expensive as
Wow.
Madonna. Like it's just as bad. But so let's talk about Erik when you were younger. What was Erik like when he was younger? What made you take the path that you took into real estate and the owner of Social House? Like, how were you and your brothers growing up and your family dynamic? Like, how was that for you?
Yeah, so for context, both my parents were extremely athletic growing up. Like dad was a quarterback, mom was like a star softball player.
Awesome.
And so sports were always a huge piece of my life. Like from the time I was 5 years old, I was playing 3 sports year round. Played, travel baseball, AAU basketball, football, college baseball, and whatnot. So I think like the biggest thing, like I didn't know I was going to do real estate until I did real estate. Never.
Oh, really?
I'm not. Like I was never passionate about real estate. Never had these like
Most
aspirations to become a real estate agent. But what I did have was just like that like level of competition or competitiveness in me from playing sports. Like I was relatively athletic growing up, just naturally in a lot of things, and so it led to like you're not competitive if you're not good at it. So naturally, like since I was decent at those things, I kind of grew this competitive nature, which. Up till like I would say like I was 22 years old, like I wouldn't say I was overly ambitious. Like my both my parents work. My mom's a teacher, or she's
Okay.
a paraprofessional at a school, works with a special needs student. My dad's a writer, so both like grew up kind of corporate like life. So I don't have like an entrepreneurial background by any means, but the more I got into like working and had some conversations and had people around me that were pretty ambitious and going to med school and law school and all these things, it started to like allow me to evolve and look into different ways I could make a difference in some way. Because like that's really how you make money, is by figuring out ways you can make a difference or have an
Right.
impact or innovate.
Yeah.
And real estate just kind of got dropped in front of me when I was at my first job out of college at a company called Velasquez Communications, where I was doing data analytics for direct mail. And basically I was just like, why are these real estate agents spending this much money on this stuff? I know it doesn't work. And the more I looked at it, I was like, oh, because everyone's like relatively old in this
Yeah.
industry. And so the more I kind of thought more about it, I was like, my background can fit really well in that. I have a pretty big network, which ironically, I don't really work with many people I know, like buying and selling homes.
Really?
But, yeah, not really. I mean, it's, here and there, but like
Okay.
relative to like the gross of my business, like I would say 90% of it's like brand new business I get through social media. So it just kind of evolved in that way. And then, like, thankfully the ideas I had worked pretty well, and just kind of evolved into a career. And then
how did your family feel? Because I come from a corporate America family, although my dad was an entrepreneur, but my mom was very corporate America. So how did your family feel about you going into that entrepreneur world? Because corporate America people and entrepreneurs, like even me leaving corporate America and becoming an entrepreneur was such a difficult transition. So how did your family your parents have any reservations about that, or did they support what you were doing?
So they were both always very supportive, but like I will say, like I get different qualities from both of my parents. Like my dad's the most chill, creative person on the planet. My mom's very analytical, risk averse. So, like, naturally, when I was like, hey, Mom, I'm going to go get my real estate license, I wasn't even talking about quitting my corporate job yet. She's like, why don't you just focus on your job, like, and all this stuff. And then, of course, like, 6 to 8 months later, when I was like, hey, I'm going to quit this job and just focus on real estate, she, was like, oh, don't do it, don't go.
Then the real came out.
Exactly. And mind you, like, that's what she's supposed to do.
Right.
That's what your mom's supposed to do in a way. And whereas my dad, it's kind of like when you go say, like, hey, can I go when you're a kid? You're like, hey, can I sleep over at so-and-so's house? Your dad's like, yeah, I don't care. And your mom's like, no. I'm like, why? And she's like, because I said no. So it's like, that's just like her job and what she's supposed to do, right?
Because I said so.
Yeah, because I said so. I never thought I would use that. And then I became a parent, and because I said so, like, I'm like, oh, why am I saying that? But,
Right.
but as a mom, yes, it's very much like that protective mindset of protecting your kids. But I never thought I would say that, and I definitely say because I said so.
Yeah, and she's still to this day, like, I have new ideas, like, constantly, and it's, like, probably one of my biggest weaknesses because I struggle to, like, focus on one thing, hence, like, starting a news company out of nowhere. But, like, whenever I go to her with a new idea, like, I tend to, like, kind of keep it to myself until I'm already doing it, because she'll usually try to talk me out of it and just, like, say, like, focus on one thing, and a lot of times that's probably good advice, because if I were to just focus on one thing, I'd probably be a lot further in that one thing than maybe I am today, but that's just the way my mind works.
I'm not gonna lie though. I think
I feel the same way.
I can think that, like, even for Rob and Tyra, like, that's that entrepreneur mindset, and it's so different from anyone who's been in corporate America, because I'm a very much focus on one thing. Like, keep telling my son, what do you want to do? Like, focus on this. But I'm learning that you can actually focus on a lot more stuff, and it's a hard concept when you have that 9 to 5 corporate mentality, and you guys have the entrepreneur where there's like everything going on at once.
I don't think that I had like an entrepreneur like mentality. I still don't think I do. I think I'm still very corporate America. I have a very similar story to you. I really wanted to get into real estate. My mom was like, no, you're not quitting your full-time job to get into real estate. But I lost my job, so I was kind of like forced to get a new job. And then I went into real estate. But even like it's close to 2 years now that I've been in real estate.
See, and I totally disagree with you. What do you, like, with that, her not having the entrepreneur mindset, like,
you definitely have an entrepreneur mindset, but you just don't.
I have a creative mindset.
Maybe
like
creator.
It's part of it, though.
Are you structured?
I think all entrepreneurs are creative.
Structured person?
Honestly, no.
No.
Like, I don't think I'm structured at all. Like, I've tried, like, time blocking. I've tried all these things, but, like, being creative makes it really hard to be structured.
Yeah.
And, like, it's not an excuse to not be structured, but, like, the way my brain works is, like, and this is why, like, I don't really read. Like, I've read maybe 5 books since high school. Like, I listen to a lot of podcasts, I watch a lot of videos, but, like, when I'm reading, I'm usually reading something that's like self-help driven, where it's like I'll get 5 pages in and it sparks an idea and I'm off to the races, and like that book's not getting touched for another week. I'm kind of
like that too.
Yeah.
You know,
see, my problem is I start reading and then I'm thinking about all the other 15 things. So then I tried audiobooks, and then I think that's even sometimes worse, because I'm like, I'm just gonna listen to audiobooks when I drive, and then I'm driving and I'm like, oh wait, it's 3 o'clock. Like, get the kids by 3:30. Like, oh wait, what did he just say? Rewind.
Your mind,
like it goes everywhere. So that's why I too have a very hard time with like that structured. I'm trying. I'm like, Tyra's making me try to have a schedule, but it's very difficult.
I'm a creative as well, and that's like one of my favorite things to do. Is what I'm realizing is a passion for me. Like, I love being in my creative space. If I could just sit somewhere by myself and just create, like, I love that. But I'm also very structured. But I think my structuredness comes from my dad. because he was in the military.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And so I just think that's how I kind of developed that mindset a little bit. But I'm definitely a creative, so I can certainly relate to that.
But I get the writer mindset too, though, because language arts was my major in college. So like
I love language arts,
being the like
not
writer
college.
and writing. So I get like how it's just like free flowing, and it just you're like, yeah, okay, whatever, you know, like it's easy to do. So that's funny that your dad. So like with your dad, like did he, not funny that he was a writer, but with writing, like what was he? Is that why you started the newspaper, or where
what's up with
how
that?
did that happen, or like what was he a writer for?
Yeah, so he wrote for the Free Press. He wrote for Gannett, who owns like the Detroit Free Press, the Observer.
Okay.
And so he wrote for them for, like probably 20 plus years. Before that, he was with Midwest Publishing and POAM, with Police Officers Association of Michigan.
Okay.
And so he was always like growing up, like editing all my papers
That's
for
awesome to me.
Not editing them, but giving like feedback. So that's how I became a good writer. And so like his influence like on a creative side too, and to kind of touch on like the structure thing, like structure is good. Like it's good that you have structure. And like I actually just did a training the other day with some of our like 20 of our agents where it was kind of talking about building structure, but like not having that calendar that's time blocked every minute of every day, because it's not going to work. But rather like try to time block like 10 hours, like have some structure to your day, because in real estate, like you probably know, you guys know this, like it's hard to be structured in real estate. You'll get a text from a client at 2 p.m. like, hey, can we look at 4 houses tonight at 5? And you have
That
to drop.
happened this morning. I got a text at 7:30 like, hey, can we go look at 2 houses in Troy? And I'm like, we sure can.
But I think
let's go.
I think that doesn't mean you have to drop. Like if you get a text from a client, they want to look at 10 houses or whatever that was, you don't have to right away just do that. With me, like if I get a text like that, I'm gonna forward the text to my email, and then when I get to that email, I'm gonna look up the houses and then schedule them. But I know I'll be able to schedule it that day. I'm not gonna drop everything I'm doing and show them the house right now.
Yeah, so how do you
I say that's
balance
a hard
that?
balance. It is.
Like, because I know you're managing not even like your clients, but you also have all of like your employees and everything else that you have going on.
Yeah, so we have like a little over 40 agents now at Social House, and like truthfully, that was the reason why I started Social House in January 2019 was because in 2018 I ended up selling 85 homes. And I was a one-man team. I was doing everything, showings, all my marketing, Facebook management. It was terrible. I was working like 15 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365. And the reason I started Social House was start to delegate. So get a transaction coordinator, hire some showing agents, to your point, that we pay, $25 an hour to go show homes for us. And it gets them experience. It helps take stuff off my plate. So that's really the way I've been able to manage it and scale my business. Like in 2021, I sold 150 homes. I would have never been able to do that without a team around me to help with like showings and those things. And so that's really been like the biggest thing. And just kind of, at the end of the day, like clients, when you're, trying to build your business at that point, like that is a priority. So like it's worth it sometimes to drop things. Other times, it is good to have boundaries. Like I had to start telling people like, hey, my day ends at 9:30 or something, because I was responding to texts at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, I would never do that.
That's just it's not a good precedent.
No, it's not.
It's not, because they're gonna always want you available at that time. And what if you're literally not able to be available? They've developed it in their mind that you're always available.
That's true.
They won't accept that. They'll maybe even move on to the next person, like, oh, I gotta go to someone else, because they're not responding
fast enough,
because they're used to you responding all the time. So you do gotta, as far as time go, I do really think you gotta set those boundaries.
Oh, for sure. And I think too, like depending on where you want to get, like that's what I stressed our team all the time, is like not everybody wants to sell $20 million. Like you can sell $5 million a year and live a really, really good life and be comfortable. Like realistically, you can work 10, 15 hours a week if you're doing $5 million. Once you kind of get the rhythm of like, you're not having to prospect 6 hours a day or anything like that. So like you can build a really comfortable life in that way, by just, you might have to hustle for a few years to like build it up. But after you do, like, all the content you're making, I know that's super time consuming. It's like, but that stuff will work. It does work, It's like,
not time consuming for me. Everybody says that. But for me, like I can edit a video in like 20 minutes. It's just like super, like, I don't know. It's just my nature. But
yeah, I mean, I get that, because like all the stuff on social media, all the posts, everything, I just like do it myself. And when people is like, well, I don't have time to sit there and do that. I'm like, I'm literally like laying in my bed and it takes me 5 minutes.
Because like I overthink everything though. Like I think that's my problem. So like when I see you guys put stuff out on social media, I'm like, oh, that looks great. And then I like try to do it and I'm like, oh.
That brings up a good point. I think a lot of people come to me and they're like, Brooke, like I see you posting so much on social media. It motivates me to post because I'm like, Brooke got a post out today, so I gotta get a post. Do you feel that way? Like when you see other agents on there, like, oh man, I'm slacking. Like these people are posting more. Like how do you deal with that?
Oh, for sure. And like, I'm glad you brought that up because like me personally, like I hate being in front of the camera.
Yeah.
And like I just started posting 6 months ago maybe, and like I knew it worked, so I was always telling my agents, hey, this works, you need to do this, you need to do this. Nobody was doing it, and I was like, well, why would they do it if I'm not doing it? Even though I wasn't trying to grow my personal business anymore, right? I was trying to kind of step back, be more in like a leadership role, but I was like, that is a form of leadership, just doing it, showing people it can be done. And now I like it, now I enjoy doing it.
And
I'm not there yet.
You will, like when you do it more and you start
the more you do it, the more you do it.
Is that what it is?
I just have to stop really caring what anybody thinks about it. Like I don't really I don't care what people think about me at all, which is like something a hurdle I got over, a couple years ago, which is it's a very big sigh of relief.
Was that so? I'm going to ask you that. Was that during that little midlife crisis that we had talked about? Because you had talked about your midlife crisis. So let's talk about that a little bit because that's something we talked about before we were on air. And I want to touch base on that because we had all been talking about like the ages that we were at and where we were going. So midlife crisis, you're what? In your mid-30s?
I'm 33, yeah.
You're 33. So what would you say would be...
33 is my number.
mid-30s.
I'm sorry. Well,
he's still in his early 30s.
You're in your early 30s. Yes, I'll give you that. Okay, so you're in your early 30s and you had mentioned that you felt like you had like a midlife crisis a couple years ago. So can you talk about that? Like what made you think you were there and what position were you at to feel that way?
Yeah, so for context, so like I turned 30 the day after like the first case of COVID hit Michigan, right? So like my birthday's March 12th. I think March 11th was like the first case officially that was confirmed.
I think we went to lockdown March 12th.
Yeah, we did.
Like right around, because our anniversary is March 8th. So I think like we were out on our anniversary and we came home and they're like, lockdown. And we're like,
yeah, I went to a concert the night before, ironically, and like probably shouldn't have but
in hindsight, yes.
I'm alive, so we're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like I turned 30 and like naturally like I'm locked in my apartment for 5 weeks and I'm just like by myself, like 700 square foot apartment in downtown Detroit. And I'm like, all right, 30 years old, like big birthday. And I'm like, what do I have? Like, what have I done? And I was like, all right, like I'm successful, by my standards or a lot of people's standards. And I was like, well, that's really it. I was like, I've been working so much the last 4 or 5 years that like I have like my core group of friends, but I'm like, I wouldn't say the friendships were like overly strong in the sense of like attentiveness. I wasn't going to see my parents enough, like all these things. And I was like, all I really have is like success and like, who cares? Money doesn't really matter at the end of the day. And so like, I started to like kind of think like, what do I want to do? Like, what am I doing with my life now? Like, those kind of things, like those questions that just constantly like I still think a lot that to this day in a lot of ways.
But that gave you like COVID gave you like that deep thinking. Are you sneezing?
Sorry.
Are you okay?
I keep feeling like I have to sneeze, but
COVID gave you like I think COVID gave everybody like that deep thinking feeling. So to be in that circumstance like that, it's not just thinking like in general like we are now. That's like deep thinking when you're sitting there looking around at where you're at. So
yeah, it was like that was the first time in probably 5 years that I had an opportunity to think. As crazy as that sounds, because it's like
no, it's not crazy at all. There were many of us that probably for the first time in years had opportunities to think.
So we had to just like stop everything we're doing and actually like not do anything.
Live in the moment. Yeah, live in the moment.
Yeah.
So like it's not crazy at all. I think it's actually pretty remarkable.
Yeah, because I'm always thinking, like if I'm not working, someone else is, and all that stuff. But it's like that was the one time in my life where like nobody was really working.
Yeah.
Like granted, I still found stuff to do and keep busy, but it's like I was just having those like really deep like philosophical thoughts like constantly, and like I just felt like lost. Like I was like, I don't know, do I really want to do real estate? Like, do I really want, like what am I doing? Like I have money, but like who cares? And so like what one of the things I did is I like around like August of that year, I raised a bunch of money and like went and bought school supplies for like 120 students, and
awesome.
that kind of led into starting a nonprofit called Project Promise, which We just got our 501c3 like certification. I don't know what you call it.
That's huge. Congratulations on that. Definitely plug that. That's amazing.
Yeah, so we're building out the website and stuff right now. We haven't really started like actively really raising money for it.
What is that about? Just to plug that for just a minute, because I think that's amazing, because there's not enough people out there doing, you know, the nonprofit and stuff like that. You know, thank you very much. So plug that for just a minute, because I'd love to hear more.
Yeah, so I'm super passionate about education. I personally hate school, so like more so post, like I don't like the structure of school, but I think school is vital, and like, you know, education is super important, and teachers are super underpaid, which naturally leads to students not being taught in like a very sufficient way,
right?
You know, because it's hard to find good people. It's hard to motivate teachers to like teach properly. And so we started this nonprofit, essentially myself, and then I brought on 6 of my best friends to like be on the board to help me with it. And essentially what we do is we just raise money to provide school supplies and resources to underprivileged communities and students, individual families.
And what is the name of it again?
Project Promise.
Okay, Project Promise.
How do you
Remember
raise
that, Project Promise. We're going to be talking about that.
Raising the money?
Yeah, so as of like now, it's just been like our golf outing we were doing every year, and like little donations here and there and stuff like that. But like we're actually right now, what we're doing, we'll probably officially launch things next year. And the goal is, what we're going to do is we're going to aggregate a bunch of school supply lists at every grade level, and then essentially build out standardized backpacks to where we can, because like
pack a backpack kind of thing.
Yeah, basically, because like up till now, I was like, send me your school supply list, I'll go buy everything. And like I was just funding that myself and doing it, and it's not scale. Like I always think it's scale. Like I'm like, what's gonna happen if we're doing 10,000 students? We're not doing that,
right?
You know. And so like we're gonna start building out backpacks that it's like almost kind of like when you go to like, what is it? We just did it, Forgotten Harvest or whatever. Like people just pull their car through, and you know, you put the groceries in there, and it's all standardized, like something more like that. You know, so we're starting to build that out right now, and we'll start doing bigger fundraising events. And you know, the beauty of like real estate and what I do with real estate is we do a lot of these events organically, anyways. So we just donate all the profits to that. You know, in the future we'll start raising actual money for that and do a little bit bigger stuff. But
so you consider this part of your midlife crisis? Because I think that's an amazing midlife crisis. If that came out of the midlife crisis, that's absolutely amazing.
That was like one of the things that kind of came out of that was just like trying to find a way, because like I'm a huge giver. Like I just like helping people. You know, and I don't care if I get anything in return. 99.9% of the time I don't, and that's fine. Most people don't even know about 99% of the stuff I've done, and I like to keep it that way. But so like that's kind of what came out of that. I was just like, I need to find something that's like purposeful, that I can actually say like, okay, if I do this for the next 30, 50 years, whatever it is, you know, when I'm gone, like that will still be here. People will still remember this and that kind of thing.
Well, I think I can say for like the group, when it comes down to that, because I think we can all I'll speak for all of us in this moment, that's an amazing thing to come out
Thank
of.
you.
Yeah, for sure.
What you went through, and I know Iconic Circle would absolutely love to be a part of that in future endeavors, because to be out there and help, you know.
I'm working on my golf swing, so
she posted she's working on her golf swing, and we've all talked about taking golf lessons. Between bowling and golf, we're gonna have some pretty competitive teams. He said that on camera. He didn't say it, but Rob said he's good at golfing. But
that's 2 things that I'm
those
not
are 2
good
things,
at
really?
all, so
well, we're gonna
I'll be there for the fun.
But we would absolutely love to be a part of that in growing that, because I think that's an absolutely amazing endeavor. And if that came out of COVID and your midlife crisis, then that is something you should absolutely be proud of.
You can
for sure.
As a sponsor for the golf outing, for sure.
We're actually not doing one this year.
No golf outing this year?
That shit's stressful.
Is it a bowling?
It's like
bowling, because we're good at bowling too. It is
I'm not good at bowling.
I'm struggling to plan a housewarming party.
I was gonna say, you just moved. You're not in your 700 square foot.
You moved? Okay, so no.
You gotta get somebody to plan it for you.
Yeah.
I mean, there has to come a point where you can hire an event coordinator.
Eventually, I think the tough part is like it always goes down to the wire of just getting people to sign up.
Yeah.
And so like, and I just don't like chasing people down, and like if it was like, hey, we get 18 teams like that and it's good, and like at least we have like a full like roster, you know, it'd be cool, but it's just like the last 2 years have just been so stressful.
That's the hardest thing.
I don't have the mental energy
people
for that
will
right
say
now.
they're going to show up, but they don't show up. I think it's so important to show up for other people if you want people to show up for you.
Definitely.
So that's why I, like, whenever somebody shows up for me, like, I make sure I show up for them.
Yeah.
So, like, Yaz, when she came over, like, on our women's panel, then you told me about the UWM, I was like, all right, bet. Like, I'm making my ticket right now because you guys showed up for us.
And all day
I
long,
appreciate
like,
that.
people will be like, yeah, you should do it. I'm going to come. And then when you finally do it, it's like,
They don't show
where
up.
are the people?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so
Well,
it's
I
hard.
think that kind of came out of COVID. So I don't know who I heard it from, but it's like it became the norm to just sit at home and not do anything during COVID.
Yeah.
And people got used to that. It was just kind of like their routine, right?
Yeah.
We have these patterns in life, and that was just their routine, is sitting at home, not doing anything. So people
It
kind of became
exposed the lazy
antisocial.
I was a victim of it myself. Like,
Yeah.
See, and I was like, let's get out of that. Like, I got so excited when Will was like, let's go to Sam's Club. I'm like, yes.
Oh, yeah.
We're
They had
going
to
to
drag
Sam's
me out of the
Club.
office. Like,
No, we were like, I was so excited to get out of the house, and the kids were like, because we went into COVID when it got cold. And then, like, there was, or not when it got cold, it was already cold. And then when the weather started getting nice, I was like, please get me out of this house.
You
Like,
said that
yeah,
you
it got to that
were
point
affected
where it's
by
like,
it.
gotta get out of here.
I'm like, I'm a homebody to begin with, but like before COVID, I had a condo in Dallas for 7 years, and like I was down there at least once a month for 7 days, like partying, going out, had a social life, like a huge circle of friends and everything. And COVID hit and just like stopped. And like I like it, like I'm like over partying and all that stuff, and you know, I can't do, my body can't handle it anymore. But yeah, like I'm in so much. Last year, like I don't think I went out one time.
Really?
oh, wow, really?
Yeah, like last year was like I had a pretty rough year last year anyways, just in general, like across the board. But it's like, yeah, like didn't go out at all. Like, so I'm trying now to like reintroduce myself. Like one thing that I was talking to a good friend of mine, John Haddad, he owns Next Door Lending, and we were having a conversation at his office like a few weeks ago or whatever, and he was like, you know, what do you think the difference is from this year to last year? And I was like, well, I'm just getting out more. Like, there's something to be said about like laughing in person with people,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
as opposed to like just texting all the time. And like, you're not laughing when you say well, LOL, or LMAO, or
Smiley
whatever.
face.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like when you laugh in person, like the effect that has on your mental health is massive. And so
Yeah.
like that's like
That's
one
so
thing I've just
true.
been like spending more time around people, like, and also like just not forcing myself, but like being genuinely curious about like other people and their lives, and asking questions and actually listening to the answer and wanting to know the answer. And you know, it's a lot.
Versus it just being like that repetition of just like, how are you? And someone
Right.
says,
Yeah.
I'm good. And you're just like, okay, like, move on.
And it's
But,
easy
like,
to like
yeah.
fall into that habit of like when you're talking to so many people every day, like just by nature in our business, and just like even just socially, like when I was in Dallas, like I probably had more friends in Dallas than I had up here. You know, there were hundreds of people I knew and was friends with and stuff like that. So it's like it's so easy when you're just constantly talking to a bunch of people every day to just like start to ask those routine questions and then move on to the next one. And you know, you're not
Yeah.
actually listening or hearing anything or comprehending
Right.
anything you're being told, but you're just checking that box. All right, did my job, move on to the next. And so
Yeah.
like now I've been like really attentive, like trying to be more of a leader in that sense of like listening, caring, and really like turning that into something for them or for myself selfishly.
That's something we do
That's
talk
cool.
about a lot in here is being in the moment.
Yeah.
And that's something that like in our group, in, you know, the core group of Iconic Circle is really being in the moment. It's stuff that we like strive on. And I think we all have kind of worked on being in the moment of where we are now. And it's something that's very difficult for me. It's not
Yeah.
easy because I'm
Yeah.
always thinking, I'm a very think about the next instead of think about now.
Yeah.
So with that being said, you're the oldest, right? You have two younger brothers.
Yeah.
If you were to look at your younger brothers and say, "Hey, I'm here as older brother. You guys are coming up. What would you tell them in that life growing up to be prepared for where they're going to be, or
Yeah.
being
Or
in
what
that
kind of
moment? Or
advice?
what kind of advice would you
Yeah.
give them?"
Yeah, that's a tough one. I would say like personally and professionally would be two different answers probably.
Okay.
Like personally, I would say like find your core group of friends that you trust and that you love, and like keep them around.
Yeah.
You know,
That's good
and like
advice.
lift them up too, because I think
Yeah.
what ends up happening naturally, and this happened to me, is like when you're ambitious and you're chasing something, a lot of times a lot of your friends get left behind, and not like
That's true.
it's not your
Or they
fault.
don't understand.
Yeah, and like a lot of times it's neither person's fault. You know, it's just like, for instance, like from 2015 to 2018, I was working 100 hours a week every single week. So like I didn't want to go out on Friday or Saturday night. You know, that's why I'd go down to Dallas and just like get it out of my system, come back up here and chill. But a lot of my Michigan friends, like they'd stop hitting me up after a while when I'd say no constantly and those things. So it's like, make time for those people. You know, like it's important. And obviously the ones that are just going to like stop talking to you anyways, like forget about them. But there's a lot of people that like you probably should have in your life that like if you just need to make time for them, there's a lot more to life than just working.
Right.
So I would say that on like a personal basis, and then professionally speaking, I would just say like start learning early and don't stop. You know, like I think it's really easy. Like I fall victim to this too, where it's like you think you know a lot about one thing and you become this one trick pony and you're not constantly curious and trying to learn new things and evolving, because like nowadays more than ever everything changes so quickly.
For sure.
You know, like within minutes, like what's relevant today might not be relevant tomorrow.
Absolutely.
You know, I know Robert, you talked about that, you know, in one of when we were on that Real Producer panel together. It's like everything changes so fast, so it's like don't be ignorant to the fact that like you don't know 99% of what's out there, and just constantly try to learn and constantly try to grow. And as long as you have that knowledge base, and then also just focus on finding ways to add value to people that can't really do anything for you, and if you do that repeatedly over and over and over again, eventually you're going to start to get some back. Like what you put out into the world from an energy standpoint is going to come back to you. And so like and while that may be a personal thing too, but like professionally, that'd probably be my biggest piece of advice to my youngest brother. My middle brother, he'll be 30 this month actually, he's severely cognitively impaired. So like he's like a 1-year-old mentally. Physically he's okay, but he has autism, epilepsy, and just severe cognitive impairment. So he obviously wouldn't be able to implement much of that. But like Ben,
but how does that affect your life though? Because that has to be an effect on your life. So with your working with him, that has to have changed you in some way to even look at people in a different light.
Just perspective.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I can't imagine. I don't think anybody that I know has ever probably seen me like actually mad or yell. You know, or like, you know, I'm not a crier, like, and which is nothing wrong with crying, but like I don't cry, I don't yell, and that's why like I don't get super excited, I don't get super upset about really anything. And it's just because like whenever something's hard in my life, or you know I come up against some obstacle, it's like, all right, well, Brandon can't even talk.
Yeah,
you know, like it's really not
it
that
puts
bad.
it in reality,
And
like perspective.
Do you think that's what makes you want to help so much as well?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's definitely that, like, because my mom's that way. Like, my mom's just the nicest human being on the planet. And so, like, that's definitely where a lot of that comes from. And I think, too, just, like, it's, like, almost something I've had to get over in a sense, because, like, I'm kind of that way with, like, I lack empathy a lot of times with other people, because I'm like, what are you bitching about? Like, like, it's not that bad. You know? But, like, I have to understand that, like, not everybody has that perspective I have, you know? So it's, like, I need to kind of... I've like grown a lot from like an EQ, like emotional intelligence standpoint the last few years as I've gotten older, just in kind of like understanding that, you know, I have this really great perspective. And, you know, I say great because like it has made me who I am. Obviously it's a really unfortunate situation, but it's given me this really great perspective just on life in general. And it's like, it's without a doubt the reason why I'm successful, because like I don't get discouraged.
So
if
that's
I fail.
why I don't know. I don't know if I'd look at it as unfortunate. Like I understand the concept of being unfortunate, but it's made you who you are today, and that's an accomplishment. And just being able to carry yourself and carry your business, and but still have so much respect for your family is unbelievable. Like,
and so that's why it's always like all about the way you look at things. Yeah, because you could look at things one way, but then you can look at another way and say, hey, I wouldn't be who I am, I wouldn't be where I am if this wouldn't have happened.
I think
it's like the whole dynamic of it all. Like it's everything.
It's about that emotional intelligence, and I feel like being an entrepreneur, like you have to have strong emotional intelligence.
Very much so.
If someone comes at you and they're upset about something, like you have to remain calm.
Right.
You can't react real quick because then you look bad. So
it's prepared you for
and that perspective too is like, it's really a testament to my parents, because like I think the biggest problem with the world today is everyone's like, oh, I don't have what they have, fuck them.
Entitlement.
Like, I'm gonna be mean to them, I'm gonna be rude, like I don't have what I want, so I'm gonna go like take it out on other people in a negative way.
Absolutely.
Whereas like my parents are the opposite. Like they're just like so giving. Like even when they don't have anything, like they still give, you know. And so like that's something where sadly a lot of people today, like you know, I see it on social. You guys you post all the time. Like, you probably, the comments are just insane. They're people
Absolutely.
you don't even know, like, their photos of bulldog, and they have 2 friends on Facebook, but they're like taking time out of their day to type 2 paragraphs about like how bad your video was.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like a very fine line between going that direction and going the direction of like being a good person and like being thoughtful, because it's really easy to be like be very angry about your situation and instead like lash out in that way, instead of say like, okay, like I don't have what he has, so my life's great.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I think what I realized about things like that is, once you realize that whatever someone is saying or the way that a person is coming from a place within themselves,
It's not a reflection of you.
It's like those comments or whatever it is, it doesn't bother me, because it's like whatever that person just said is something within themselves that's projecting that comment out. So I think when you look at it like that, it's like, you know, that's their problem, not my problem type of thing.
I had a Dropbox folder saved with like mean Facebook messages. I accidentally deleted it, but I started. Oh, it's just hilarious, and like. For a while, I wouldn't respond. I would just like ban them from my page and move on.
I just
like people really have that much time on their
About
hands.
what though?
Yeah, like what would it?
Oh, just no. It's like
You'll be
just
surprised.
like just
people.
like I don't even know. Like just like I'll send you something. Just
negative.
It's hilarious.
It's just negative stuff that people
like,
have no time
calling
for.
me an asshole, like all these things for no reason, for not like putting the price on my post, like stupid shit. But like it's funny because like now I respond back and I'm just like, I'm sorry you're having a bad day. I hope it gets better. And like the funny thing is, it just pisses them off more.
Something I would say.
That's absolutely something. Or you'll say like, I'll pray for you. Have a great day.
Yeah,
I just block right away.
it's like condescending enough where I'm like, I know I'm being condescending, but like, fuck you.
Exactly.
But I can't say that. So like, I just started responding like, just kill them with kindness and like, but in a condescending way, so they know that I'm being a little sarcastic, but at the same time, like seriously, like I hope your day gets better. Like, if
like
you're that angry for no reason, like
for a price
there's
not
gotta
being
be
a
something
post.
going on.
So I used to do that. I used to like respond with something really nice. Well, it went from responding with an actual response to doing what you're doing, responding with something nice, to now I just block them because, and this is the reason, because I feel like it's negativity. And so I'm at a point where I don't want any type of negativity around me.
Yeah.
So even like a negative post, that's attached to me. So it's bringing negativity to me. So now I just block them, and I think that makes them even more upset because it'll be like,
Because then they can't respond back.
they go back to look at it, and then they just can't even go back.
Right.
They can't even go back and be like, oh, I want to reply.
And I've even had people like come and like apologize or something. I'm in my head, I'm thinking,
I was there with you when someone apologized.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you missed my page that much that now you want to come back.
That's funny. I've actually never had anybody ever say anything mean to me. Never.
Really?
Never.
I've had a couple inbox messages, and I'm like,
really? But
Yeah,
I
I get
do
a lot.
agree with you on the point you're making about how people, like, they look at us and they see us as like real estate agents or entrepreneurs, and they immediately think that like we are, I don't know, like we have this glamorous lifestyle, and then they kind of like feel a little salty towards us away, like, oh, they have something that I don't have, and they want to not support us on our journey because they, I don't know.
It's coming from within, Like I said, like it's something that they're missing within that they may feel that you have that they don't have within, so that's what's being projected out with their comments. So I totally get it, but
you don't even
I
know
just
what somebody's
block 'em.
going through. Like, you know, I mean, on social media, like, it may look like I have like so much going on, but in reality, I'm just sitting home watching Netflix. Just straight with you guys.
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's funny. So on a normal day, like for Erik's schedule that's not scheduled, what would a normal day like look like for you, or even a fun day or a weekend? Like, break down what a normal day in your, because it's got to be a pretty busy schedule.
That's her. Put in those perceptions.
Like, I'm just saying, with all the, I mean, we have a newspaper.
Right.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
So,
A newspaper.
Yeah,
we
I
have
diverted
social
from that
house
question.
and like.
Yeah, so Social House, like, I mean, it's so hard to say because there's not like a normal day at all.
Yeah.
Like every day is literally different, you know, depending on what I have going on, whether I'm building websites out, whatever it is. But like some of like the core things I've been trying to do lately is work out So go to the gym every single day.
So that's a set schedule.
Finally getting back in shape this year, hopefully. Try to film a couple pieces of content. Try to talk to a few of our agents and like help give feedback, help them out with certain things. And then like right now, for instance, we're building out we just started a title company, an insurance company called Gravity Title and Gravity Insurance.
That's cool.
Building out those websites, building out the Project Promise website, building out the Social House website right now. Constantly working with my dad on Social House News, which I think I kind of got away from that question earlier when you asked, like the reason it all kind of came about is like he wrote for, the Free Press and the Observer for 20 plus years, and he turned 61 this year. And so back in 2011, he actually got laid off from the Observer, and he was a sports writer at the time. And he started his own company called PlymouthCantonSports.com.
Okay.
And it was amazing writer, like won a bunch of state awards, like all these awards and everything, but he wasn't a businessman. Like he didn't know how to sell ads and like how to like really monetize it, and I was too young and like distracted at the time to like really help him. And so I always had in the back of my mind I wanted to do this with him one day. And so like the goal of it was to like allow him to retire, quote unquote, but like he's salary, like we pay him more than he was making at the Observer, and basically give him the ability to just write about whatever he wants to write about.
Nice.
And
that's
like,
cool.
and
That is amazing.
And it's been super cool because like he's incredible. Like it's great to be able to showcase that. And like the real reason from a business perspective behind starting Social House News is like one thing like Gary Vee has been saying for like 10 years. He's a guy I've followed since like 2010. Is like attention's the most valuable commodity in the world today. And essentially if we can create this local news platform from a real estate perspective, for example, where we're getting like a hyper local focused audience, where we're getting about 100,000 site visitors a month right now already since we just launched in October, and it's all organic. Essentially what we'll be able to do is once we get the attention of all these people locally, we'll be able to start monetizing that through lead conversion, through drip campaigns, those types of things.
It's like a trickle-down effect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like once we get the attention, not only is it going to benefit me, and my dad, it's going to benefit all of our agents at Social House, because we're going to start be able to pass off leads. We're going to be able to advertise their listings on there, where we can, nobody else can say, hey, we're advertising on a local news site getting 100, 200, 300,000 site visitors every month, because they have to go spend 10 grand to advertise on Free Press.
Are you editing your dad's papers now? Like when he submits something to you, like, or how does that work? When he's like, I'm gonna write, or do you just
he's fully autonomous,
fully free,
like,
go ahead and write whatever you want to write, and it's it?
Yep. So like I'll
you don't know what he puts out before he puts out?
No, I read it all.
Oh.
I read it all, but
Okay.
like more so in just like a readership way.
Yeah.
And like I've connected him with a lot of like business owners, and like I've met a lot of business owners through this too. It's been great. Like my network's evolved a ton because of this, because now I have value to add to these business owners, and we don't sell any advertising right now. So it's just like we're just like, hey, we want to get it's good news only is like the tagline. Like we only want to talk about positive things. So it's
And
like
this is all online.
just socialhousenews.com, and it's just like people doing good things in the community, businesses doing cool things in the community, new businesses opening locally, like just really simple stuff like that like people want to read. It's stuff people want to talk about at the kitchen table instead of like all this depressing stuff you see on all these other news sources. So yeah, it's been fun.
I've seen it a couple times.
That's super cool.
Facebook.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's been fun. Like he's fully autonomous. Like I don't touch it. Like he writes everything, manages the entire website, and then Mitch, who's our marketing guy at Social House, he shares it all on social. So it's like I'm totally hands off. I read all the articles just because I like reading them. I never read any of his articles when he wrote for the paper.
You said you've only read like 5 books since high school, and now you're reading all the time.
Yeah,
because your dad's writing.
I'm not a good reader. I'm like a very, very slow reader, but it's because I get distracted so easily.
Yeah.
He asked me like 5 questions and created the greatest article ever.
Yeah, we wrote an article on Robert. Yeah.
That's talent.
Yeah. He's very, very, very talented.
It was 5 questions and it became an article?
I've not to like brag, but I've had a lot of interviews, and he asked like 4 questions in my mind. I'm like, he didn't ask me anything. That article is not going to be good, and then the article is probably one of the best articles.
I appreciate that. And like the funny thing is, I read it obviously, and I talked to him after. I was like, oh, y'all didn't even talk about like Robert's background, like the personal stuff, and I was like, I've been meaning to talk about this. I want to do another one more on like your life instead of just the business. I wanted it to be a hybrid of both, but like it was still an amazing article. But I was like, I want to do another one to like, because I know you have a great story,
right?
So I was like, I want to be able to tell that story too.
He legit asked like 3 questions.
And then just wrote
And then he
wrote this amazing
amazing
article.
Oh my god.
I would imagine
That's
his
when you know
research though.
someone's
Like he
good.
does research too, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and like I mean, he's just really good at what he does. Like
Yeah.
that's how I got through college, was writing.
through your
'Cause,
dad. No, I'm just kidding.
No, me like I'm like that's
My favorite thing about a writer though is you can't bullshit a bullshitter, and anyone who can write can bullshit their way through
That's what
anything.
That's what
Yeah.
I did.
It's
Like
so true. Like I can bullshit my way through any essay, any time of the day. Like writers have that net. Not that all writers are bullshitters. I'm not saying that, but what I'm saying is like
It's that creative mind.
It's that creative, like when
Yeah.
you start going, it just flows like
Yeah.
naturally. It's an
Oh, yeah.
easy thing to do.
Yeah.
So let's talk about. You said writing a story, and we talked about Robert's story. But what would be your story? Like if you were to start from Erik at the beginning to Erik now to Erik in the future, how would you write your story?
That's a good question.
Yeah. That's a good one.
My story up to this point, like at least to me, like isn't overly exciting. Like I think I'm still like laying the groundwork, the foundation.
It's probably
That's
very
perception
exciting.
based.
Right.
You don't
Yeah.
even know.
That's perception
Right.
based.
Yeah, I mean, I don't get me wrong. Like I've done a lot. I've experienced a lot of really cool things. Like I've partied with and met a lot of really cool people. Like and like done all these things. But as far as like I view like my story, so to speak, as like my impact. Like what am I doing? And like I don't think that's really gotten there yet.
Okay.
But I mean, yeah, like
You're probably making an impact though,
And you don't even know
realize
it. I was just about to say that.
I mean,
Yeah.
I hope so.
You're
I think
definitely-
Because that could be your story from your midlife crisis that we could call a quarter
Yeah.
century. Is that what we're going to call it, crisis? But there could have been stuff that have happened along the way that you probably don't even know you're impacting. But taking that, what you're at point now, what would be the next chapter? What would be the next part of your story?
Yeah, so I like, and this will be funny to say, but like my dream has always been to start my own record label. Kind of going back to the music
Okay.
stuff.
Really?
Yeah, so like,
Okay.
so like I still want to do that one day, and I will do it.
Your
I
brother
do
will be
it
your
one
first
day.
artist.
For sure. Like I've always been the one to like I go out and I try to find new artists before, you know, when they have 1,000 followers, 10,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, that kind of stuff, and like constantly send them to my friends, my brother, my family, all these things, and like, you know, a lot of them end up blowing up, and I'm like, I got an ear for this. Like I want to do this. You know,
Music really is a
So that's your
huge passion.
passion.
Yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say that's a huge passion of
Where do
yours.
you think that came from? Like that passion for music?
I would say like music's always been a big part of my life since I was like really young. Cause like for instance with Brandon, so like he's been like a 1-year-old cognitively since he was 1 years old, and so like naturally like I'd constantly have him like pounding Legos on my door when I'm trying to study, so I put music on, you know, or like
okay.
just like when he's throwing one of his tantrums, like I'd put music on. It was kind of just like an escape.
Yeah.
Does
your
music
escape.
relate to him though?
No, not really.
Not really? Okay.
It was more so just like that was like my escape.
Your
That was
outlet,
like where
yeah.
I could just like put it on, and I like one thing. I think a lot of people, they hear music, they don't listen to music.
Yeah.
Like
There's a
I
difference.
listen to music like so thoroughly, like every beat, every noise, every sound, every lyric, like through and through. And like naturally, a lot of the artists I follow, you know, like from like rappers, from a rap perspective, it's like Joyner Lucas, J. Cole, like Kendrick, like those guys that like really tell stories, you know, that those are the guys I listen to. Like
Andy
I can't.
Mineo's a good one for stories too. He's a Christian rapper.
Oh yeah,
Just put that out there.
Trust me, my mom sends me Christian music on a
Listen,
weekly
Christian,
basis.
like he's probably one of like the some of the stuff he puts out, and my husband can.
We'll be listening to
And we'll be
music,
like, wait a minute, start
but,
that.
but we're watching the lyrics.
The lyrics, because
Yeah.
I want to read his lyrics. Like some of the stuff he puts out is amazing, and I don't think he gets the credit that he does. So definitely check him out because he puts out some great stuff. But
She'll appreciate you put me on that, because like every year for her birthday I get her tickets to like one of her favorite Christian bands.
oh, I love it.
Because that's all she listens to, and like my girlfriend now, she actually loves Christian music too, ironically. So my mom's like in heaven, you know. So like pun intended, but it's like, so like I took him to like Brandon Lake like 2-3 weeks ago or whenever it was, you know, at Northridge Church and like all this stuff. So like I'm trying to get into it.
Kendrick Lamar's been there too.
No.
No. Yes.
At Northridge? I don't know about Northridge.
Lecrae. I like that
Lecrae.
Kendrick
Oh, yeah,
Lamar.
I've heard of
Lecrae. I'm sorry, not Kendrick Lamar.
I was like,
My
I don't know if they
bad.
look
That was a
Kendrick
bad one. Lecrae, you're very right. Lecrae was just there a couple weeks ago too.
But yeah,
So,
I always joke with my mom, like people say country music's redundant. I was like, Christian music's pretty redundant too. But I'm
you're
like,
gonna start listening to Andy Mineo and
How
you're
much
like,
could you
wow.
talk about?
I think I've heard
Yeah,
of
me
it
either.
before.
I don't know much about
Like-
Christian music.
It's weird though because like the hip hop Christian music is pretty.
Yeah?
It's really good.
I believe you.
Because we try to we'll go out and do yard work, and I'm like, well, we can't listen to this because we have the 4 kids out here. So we put that on, so the kids are moving with us, but they're not really paying attention to even know that our 17-year-old listens to it. So if that tells
That's
you
cool.
anything, then there's some really good beats with Andy Mineo. So
I just like talented people.
Music
so.
is powerful.
it is powerful.
My music changes depending on my mood.
Oh yeah,
though.
for sure.
Like if I'm in a
It can
really
change your mood. It hypnotizes you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Music hypnotizes you.
I think I heard you say that before.
It does, yeah. Because of a repeated beat is a form of hypnotizing.
Is that subconscious stuff?
Yeah.
Does it go into your? I'm seriously asking because you talk about subconscious a lot. So is that part of it? Like it goes into
in a way, but it's more of hypnotizing you because a repeated beat over and over and over again, it puts you in a hypnotic stage. So when you put music over it, that's why it's so powerful because the words are hypnotizing you.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
So
when you come out with this record label, that's going to be the next chapter. Your brother's going to be your first artist.
What's the name of it?
Plan.
Do you have it? Do you have a name?
TBD. Haven't come up with a name.
Oh,
coming up with the names.
We're not gonna label that yet. It is.
Yeah.
And your brother will be your first artist, and you're gonna get him on that. And then moving forward, do you want to ask? Because we're about to wrap up. So do you want to ask your question that you always ask?
Yeah. So you kind of asked a similar one to the what would you tell your younger self? You asked what would you tell your younger brothers? So I'm gonna say, what's something no one else knows about you?
That's a good one.
Man, that is a tough one because
or that's something that people would be surprised. To know.
So one thing, I guess I'll go back to when I was a baby. So when I was born, I was a big ass baby. I was 10 pounds.
That is a big ass baby.
My mom was 110 pounds, and so when I was born, umbilical cord was wrapped around my neck. I was all cramped up and everything, and my right leg didn't actually it was stuck in a bent position until I was 2 weeks old.
Wow.
And the doctor told my parents, and with context, knowing 3 years later my brother actually had special needs, they told my parents I had cerebral palsy, and I would never walk. Wow. And so most people don't know that about me, but now my jaw's a little bit, my bottom jaw's a little crooked. It angles this way a little bit, and the whole right side of my body is a little bit lower than the left. And so I already know my hip's gonna be done when I'm 40. It already hurts.
Don't say that.
That's crazy though for you to say that and how athletic you were.
Yeah.
And that was never an issue in your athletic journey.
I was never very fast, but, I was pretty good at baseball, basketball, and football growing up, and ended up playing college baseball. So yeah, but I don't think most people know that.
So why did they think you said cerebral palsy? Why did they think? They just thought that because of your leg, or
I have no idea.
Okay.
I guess I admittedly don't know a ton about cerebral palsy. I know it does have an effect on your bones and or that might I made that up. But I know
the way that
you guys know
your body is.
I don't know much about it either.
Well, I just know your body is kind of what's the word for it
I know a lot of kids. My brother Brandon went to but he didn't go to a gen ed school. He went to a special needs school in Northville called Cook, and there were kids that had cerebral palsy, and they've
Isn't
got
it your mobility?
I know that it's nothing wrong with your brain.
Mobility. I almost said mobility. Mobility. Isn't it have to do with your mobility?
I know it's nothing wrong with your brain. You're completely fine. It's just that your body is not.
Yeah, it's I don't know if it's a degenerative disorder or whatnot, but yeah. So for whatever reason they thought I had that. And thankfully didn't, but so
that's quite interesting. And like you said, so now as an adult, do you feel different sides of your body, that same side that you had that issue with your leg?
Nothing
nothing major.
My jaw annoys the hell out of me, just aesthetically, because I notice it. Other than my hip hurts when I run a lot, but that's about it.
That's about it.
Yeah, other than that, pretty much unscathed.
That's quite interesting. That's very interesting.
So I guess we can ask the other question. So what would you tell your younger self if you could give your younger self advice?
I wish granted it's a tricky question because I don't think I'd change anything to because I'm happy with where I'm at. But if I were to go back not knowing where I was going to be and be hey, here's one tip I would give you, I would really just say be more curious and focus more on learning. Because I was always I was an athlete through college. Like I literally went to college to play sports.
To play
like
sports.
I was a terrible. I always did well in school. Like I always got like A's and B's and whatnot. Just because, like you said, I could like bullshit my way through everything writing wise, and like I have a really good memory, and I was really good at math and science.
That's my whole way through college.
But like I didn't enjoy it. Like I
not
couldn't
at all.
tell you one thing I learned K through 12. You know, and I wish I would have like spent more time actually learning, because like you see nowadays, like there's 16-year-olds making millions of dollars. And not that it's about the money, but like because they've taken the time to go learn. Like Mr. Beast, for instance, on YouTube, this guy started when he was like 14 years old and was just diligent about making videos every single week. And like now he's the biggest person on YouTube.
Mr. Beast actually has a video where he's like said, I'm going to have like 1 million subscribers. Yeah, like he spoke it into
So the
existence.
mindset of the younger generation is so different than anything I think we ever grew up with.
So
and I think that's so great.
Yeah.
Just like take more time to learn, and also just be more disciplined and work harder. Like I was from an athletic standpoint, like I was pretty naturally athletic. I didn't work hard. Like I didn't work out. I didn't touch a weight till I was like a freshman in college, basically. You know, so I was just like naturally, I was a pitcher in baseball. I just threw really fast. You know, so it's like outside of that, like I didn't really. I didn't
sounds
really
like
have a
deja
work
vu of
ethic.
our son.
I was lazy as hell. My little brother's lazy too, and I tell him all the time. And then I'm like, you're naturally like, if you're a really smart kid, like you have all these gifts, like, but if you're lazy, like you're not going to do anything with it.
Right.
So yeah, that would be it. Just work ethic. Just work harder.
Yeah.
But what do you think? So it's that work-life balance, though. You said work harder, but where does that even balance of you did work hard, right?
I started working hard when I was like 22.
So, but then how would you incorporate that balance of now at 33, looking at what you did at 22, where you did go hard in the paint and you were busting your ass? You lost that balance.
I would say, like in theory, like if I had started working harder earlier,
You would have
like
been able to
built
find
more of
it.
a foundation. Like I probably would have learned that skill, because it is a skill. Like it's a skill understanding
Oh,
how to
big
like
time.
manage your time. Like when things are going well, it's way harder when things are going well than when you're failing.
Yeah.
Like I've failed
That's
a million times, and I was like, all right, fuck it. Like I'm at zero. Like I can only go up
You can
from
only
here.
go from here.
Like that's
Yep.
easy. That's really like not to
Absolutely.
like take anything away from like people that are struggling. Like, but like from a mental perspective, like that's easy. It's way harder when you're succeeding and you're like, all right, I have to continue to maintain the same level of service, but do it at a 10x scale with 10 more clients, 10 more people, whatever it is, and then also make time for friends and family and health and all these things. Like,
Right.
it's
That's
really
true.
hard. It's a skill.
It is.
Like, and I'm still learning it.
Yeah.
Well, you know what, Eric? We thank you so much for being here. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Give 1 minute to plug whatever you want to plug. You have your news, your social. Go ahead and throw those plugs out there.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm not big on talking about myself, but I would just
No,
say
this is the moment. You're allowed to talk about yourself.
From a real estate perspective, if you're an agent and you're looking for new opportunities, we're huge on branding. You know, Robert Courtney, like that's one thing that his company does as well, is just helping you build a personal brand. That's where we believe. We're very bottom up in our thinking. We focus more on building our agent's brand, knowing that that's going to benefit Social House in the long run, as opposed to, I think most brokers are very focused on top down. They're like, let's build up, you know, XYZ brokerage, and hopefully it trickles down and benefits our team. We're the opposite of that, and we give you all the tools and resources to succeed. And then just Social House News, you know, go check it out. It's very positive. Like, it's all good news. It's just a bunch of people you may know, you know, in the community is doing really good things and giving back to others, which is what
We
we're
will
all
definitely
about.
be checking out Social House News, like for sure.
Yeah.
I'm excited to read some of those
Yeah,
articles.
for
I love
sure.
reading articles. So,
Yeah, you have to let me know what you think.
yeah, thank you so much for being here. You want to go ahead
Thank
and
you.
close us out, Brooke?
Yeah, so thank you for tuning back into the RPR podcast. Stay tuned for next week. Who do we have next
Jay
week?
Powell. We have Jay
Jay
Powell from
Powell.
UNV, and he's also a real estate agent.
Okay.
No, he's a real
What's
estate
it?
investor.
A real estate
Investor.
investor. I'm sorry, he's an investor, not
What's
an agent.
UNV?
Oh my gosh.
What?
They were.
He was the first artist signed to Madonna.
He was the
Do you
first
know?
artist signed to.
Never.
Do you know who UNV is?
Nope.
Probably if
Okay,
you hear
so
the
yeah,
song.
So
If you
yeah,
hear the song, you probably
you would know who UNV is, but they were a big group. What, back in the
90s.
90s?
You have to
too?
flash them on the screen.
Yeah, but
On
he,
the-
but like you, like
Oh,
Will
yeah,
said,
yeah.
he was the first artist to be signed by Madonna,
Oh, that's
and
exciting.
he's
Wow,
now
okay.
he's a real estate investor.
They had two Billboard, #1 Billboard songs.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys hear the song,
You would
probably
know exactly the song, but
Can
Jay
you
Like in the
sing it
Powell.
for us?
'90s.
Can you sing
Yeah.
it for us?
I cannot
Was
sing
that
anything
something's
for
going on?
you, bro.
Something's
Will,
going on.
Jump on the microphone.
Tyra on the track
How's it
might
go?
be able to sing it for you.
It was like something's going on.
She probably
No, I don't
no.
But he also writes music. He wrote songs for Usher. He wrote "I Want to Know" by Joe.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
my song.
Yes,
I love that
yes.
song.
That's J Pow.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow,
he's
okay.
gonna be
Well,
here
now
with
I'm
us.
pumped.
Now you're pumped. So he's
Alright.
gonna be here with us next week, next Wednesday.
Yeah.
Alright,
He's
well,
coming in.
stay
They were in
tuned
the
to
90s,
next
popular in the
podcast.
90s.
Popular in the night.
Oop, there goes my phone. All right.
Oh, okay.
All right, well, that's it. Peace.
All right.
Bye, guys. See you next week. Thanks so much for being
Thanks
here.
for joining.
These things are sliding off my head.